SAS, it stands for sexy ass style sheet, or I wish. But no, SAS actually stands for syntactically awesome style sheet. And what SAS basically does is imagine giving your CSS drugs, which makes it extremely powerful, but also easy to deal with. I mean, amazing, right? Because we all know how infuriating CSS can get and how maddening it gets if you want to change something. It's not even funny how quickly your style sheet becomes a spaghetti piece of shit, and we all have done it. Even though we don't intend to create a messy piece of code, CSS lacks structure. That's why it becomes messy real quick. And SAS basically works on that. It gives you an easy, maintainable, and easily scalable solution to creating your CSS. To speak in technical terms, SAS is a CSS preprocessor. It introduces syntaxes and structure to your styling, which is then compiled into regular CSS for your website to, style your page. And I mean, it's amazing, right? Your website gets the regular old CSS, but you get to write clean, structured code. And SAS is not the only CSS preprocessor. There are some others, but SAS is more famous and, most popularly used. So in the upcoming few videos on this channel, we'll be jumping into understanding SAS and how different features the SAS gives us to create amazing style sheets which are so clean to work with. But this video is kind of a prerequisite to the upcoming videos. We will be looking into installing SAS in a system, creating an environment so you can compile your SAS to your CSS, and also taking a look at the variables which SAS introduces. And don't get me wrong, CSS variables or CSS constructor properties do kind of help, but there is a lot more stuff that SAS provides you with, such as mixins and functions, and the list just goes on. We'll be looking forward to them in the upcoming videos. I will be trying to make the videos as short as possible so that you get most value out of your time. Alright, so let's get into how to install SAS on your system. Alright, so I'm in my VS Code terminal. This is freshly made, and all you have to do to install SAS on your system, or all you really need is, npm and node on your system. So if you have npm and node on your system, it's as easy as opening your terminal and then typing npm install /g to make it globally accessible to your system, SAS. And this is going to install the latest version of SAS onto your system and just add it to your part, so you don't really have to install SAS every time you're starting a new project. Alright, once the installation is done and if you don't get any errors, SAS has been installed in your system. And now to creating a SAS file. Now, SAS actually comes with two extensions, which is creating, say, like a main.sass SAS file, or you can create a main.scss. So the major difference between the two extensions is .scss file still uses a familiar CSS kind of way of declaring stuff and scopes, whereas in that is you're using curly bracket, for example, like using item 1 curly bracket and then putting your style inside of this. But in .sass files, you don't really use curly brackets. So for introducing it's like a style, use indentations, something similar to what you will do in like Python. So like item 1, and then you will just do, say your style comes over here, so you will just do body, or like color. We'll do like color red. I personally prefer to work with .scss file because I just like the familiarity it has with CSS. But it's just a personal preference. You can suit to your taste. So I'm just gonna delete the .sass file and stick with this. And because your SAS files compile to CSS, you can write normal CSS in your SAS files without having any worry. For example, like we have .item 1, we can just give it like normal color of, say, RGB 00,00,00, that's black, and give like a border of like 1 pixel solid. 1 pixel solid. Okay, pixel solid red for some reason, and like box shadow of I don't know, 5 pixel by 5 pixel, 2 pixel by 5 pixel green shadow for some. Now this is some wanky ass styling, but you get the gist of it. And I'll create like multiple classes relative, so like item 1 and item 2 and item 3 and item 4. And to compile your Sass to CSS, all you have to do is run this command, Sass, the file name, so yes, SCSS files, that will be /main.scss, or if it was main.sass, and what your final output should be named. So it will be, say, like style.scss. And once I run that, it's going to compile this code to style.css. So let me just open this over here, and I didn't save this, that's why it was not giving an error. And to simplify the process of not repeatedly writing this code, all I can do is add like a watch flag to it. So it's gonna watch for any changes in my file, and then gonna compile it if there is any changes. As you can see, just compile it completely. And as you can see, it's compiling my code. So my RGB 000 was compiled to black. But this is not, and as you can see, this is just normal CSS. This is getting compiled and everything, and it's just working fine. But here's the interesting part. Now you can add variables. So for example, say these are like my different buttons, and which I've created, or different containers which I've created, and I want them to share the common color. So if I decide to like change my color to like gray, a little bit grayish color, let me just on my auto save, so it just saves it automatically. This doesn't change it everywhere, and if you're familiar with CSS variables, you can still kind of do it. But in Sass, to introduce a variable, all you have to do is do $, the variable name. So for me it will be font color, and I will say font color is RGB 70, 70, 70. And then I replace this with $, font color. And also let me just replace everything over here with $, font color. And you can see, if there is any error forming, it's just gonna tell me that, hey, there is some kind of error over here, and you can just fix it because I've not given a semicolon over here, so it was giving me that error. And you can see it has updated it everywhere. And if I wanted to change it to say like red for some reason, it's going to compile it to red color. And this is how easy it is to introduce, say, like variables. Now if you want to add like a shadow color to it, so I'm going to add like a shadow color, and it's going to be, I don't know, let me just have an normal hex color of like 0C0C0C or 0C, yeah. And I'm just gonna replace this green with I'm gonna replace this with my shadow green. Okay, shadow color. And if I save that, it's gonna update it everywhere. Now see, it's gonna compile it to hex no matter what. If it's a named color, so if it's like black, gray, green, cyan, and anything, it's gonna be named. If not, it's gonna be the hex code. So even if I change it to like say HSL, it's still gonna compile it to hex color. So you still get to work with your preferred coloring style, but it's gonna be uniformed in your CSS. That's just another thing which fascinates me. So I'm gonna wrap things over here for this video. I hope you understand how to install Sass on your system, how to set up an environment for running your Sass files and compiling it to CSS, and how to declare a variable. I'll still put the commands for the installation of Sass and the watch command in the description. So if you want to check it out, it will be in the description itself. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. Till that time, stay fit, stay awesome, and